I want to allow you to share a little bit about yourself and your book. So if I'm happy to give you we're talking a lot about, book baby. Let's hear about you and your book. Maybe just share a little bit of background of yourself and really what inspired you to write your first book, which was Being Discipled by the Holy Spirit.
Well, I've been on, it's going to sound a little weird, but I've been on Facebook since 2007. My wife got me on there. And at some point in time, I realized I could probably use Facebook as my writing outlet. Um, I used to be a facility coordinator, intake discipleship coordinator for a men's rehabilitation facility in Florida, a really big one. There was two facilities actually, and so basically I did counseling, intake, and discipleship. And a lot of these guys, I mean, they just came from really bad backgrounds, really rough backgrounds. They're trying to get out. And our approach was supposed to be one of hope and change
Hmm.
for them to get reunited with their families, to get back in society as a productive person. And found out that a lot of the folks in charge basically had the view once an addict, always an addict.
Yeah.
Come right out and say it, but it was the way they treated the guys. And so I found myself fighting up against that a lot. Well, when they put me in charge of doing discipleship training with the guys, I threw out their book and said, I'm going to do things differently. I don't want to talk down to the guys. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get down in the trenches with them, so to speak. And I found myself using the Bible as more of a spiritual tool to help inward transformation rather than rigid guidelines. You
Right.
know, they had enough of that rigidity from a lot of other programs that wasn't working. You know, they came into the classroom all the time looking really beat down, like, oh, we have to do this because it's a formality. And I'm like, guys, I don't want you to be here because you have to be. I
Hmm.
want you to want to be here. I want you to get something out of this. And within probably 2 or 3 weeks, I even had more guys in the classroom that coming. And when word came down that they were going to reinstitute the last person, they're like, no, no, no. If Mark doesn't come back, we're not coming at all. You know. So
Right.
I'm like, we're on to something. This is great. Um, and that led to a radio program in West Palm Beach with Center that we did on Saturday nights. And that experience, I think, really put a hunger in me to communicate. Um, the Word of God is something that's not religious. It's not a control tool. Um, it's a spiritual transformation tool if you approach it the right way. You
Right.
know, if and this is where I get either a lot of support from people or I get a lot of very non-religious. I grew up in the Presbyterian church. No, that's not my world.
Hmm.
Um, I had some very supernatural, if you will, encounters when I was just a teenager that defied this, that were nothing like anything our church has ever taught us about. Like, it was very much cue and hymnal and all this kind of stuff. This was not that. I mean, I had a very dramatic experience. I was camping in Germany as a 17-year-old kid, and in the middle of the night, this nowhere just shook me to my core. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God is real. God is real.
Yeah.
So everything that I've done since then is based on that reality. He's not confined to our little church buildings and our little church barbecues and all that jazz. He's huge. He's bigger than all of that. And really, none really represents him. I'm sorry, it doesn't really represent him accurately.
Yeah.
What does represent him is when someone is dramatically changed from the inside out in a way that no human being can ever take credit for. To me, that is God work. Try to be very broad in my approach, but very specific as well. And I hope that doesn't come across as too vague. I try my best to not communicate to anybody in religious terms, because that, to me, that's not going to change anybody. It's
Yeah.
not going to heal. I lost my wife due to post polio syndrome and chronic lung disease in November of 2020. And I thought that was the end of me, because we spent 16 years fighting her disease, going from hospital to hospital, doctor to doctor. Nothing was working. I was always looking for that silver bullet to heal my wife.
Yeah.
But the of all of that was, I never saw her become bitter. I never saw her become angry at God or anybody else. She was very much the opposite. She was always trying to encourage everybody else, despite of what she was suffering. She was confined to an adjustable hospital bed in her bedroom for the last 6 years of her life. And nobody on Facebook had a clue what she was actually dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Because she did not want people to know her through that lens. She wanted them to know her for the heartbeat she expressed for everybody else. And I lost her. I just thought, I know I have to keep on going because we've got a daughter to raise, but yeah, I think I'm done with this fight. God, when I first met her, I said, God, I'll never ask you for anything ever again. As long as you can just cause her to fall in love with me, that's all I want. I don't want anything else. She was completely different from anybody I'd ever met.
Wow.
And a few months later, she was trying to we met online. She was actually trying to set me up with one of her East Indian girlfriends. I'm like playing along, like, oh yeah, okay, sure, introduce us. I'm thinking, I'm not interested in her, but I'll play along with your thing. And but she finally thought. She told one of her nephews, I got a hold of this little note she sent. He said, yeah, Auntie said that she wished she could meet somebody like you. I'm like, she did.
Yeah, right.
But he's a little too old for me. But no, she totally changed my life. I'm working on a devotional for women that's written from her point of view through you guys. And I'm hoping to get that done in the next few months, because I really want people to be inspired by her life story.
Yeah.
If you could rise above the disease that is taking your very capacity to breathe away from you day by day, and yet you can still honestly be someone who's like, I want to be grateful for what I do have, because nobody else has it worse than me. Can't breathe, that's pretty bad. We had her on oxygen therapy, you name it. But I think that, more than anything else, my wife group has inspired me to, if I have to take a while to heal, then, I have to do that. Don't give up. Don't think that this is the end of your life. You have nothing to offer anybody. And I became part of an online discipleship men's group during the pandemic. And I would just sit there like you and I are talking, but I wouldn't say anything. I would just, hey, I'm here. I'm in a group. And, really volunteer anything. I was just so beat up.
Yeah.
And about 8 sessions in, I started to kind of open up a little bit more, let them know what I was going through. And by the end of it, I'm thinking, you know, I really wish I could get back into teaching men again, you know, in a discipleship capacity and bring that back to life.
Yeah.
And one of the guys in our group was like, well, I'm starting up a podcast. And I said, well, what's a podcast? What is that? I never heard of that before. Oh, what is this? I'll send it to you. He sends me his first podcast that he created. I'm like, listening to it. I'm looking at how he formatted it. And I'm like, well, I'm not real bright, but I think I could do that. So I launched my own podcast. And within, I don't know, not even a dozen episodes, I mean, people were just writing and saying, oh my gosh, this is so transformational. Wow. I'm listening to your episodes over and over again. And so I knew
What is the name of your podcast? I'm sorry to interrupt.
called Vigilance for the End Times.
Okay, and where could people access it?
They go on Spotify is the big one. And then I think Google Podcasts, quite a number. And it's totally free. I'm at episode 41 now. I'm going to be doing episode 42 shortly. I'm up to, I think, almost 2,700 downloads. And we just started it in September of 2021. So it's not doing too bad. I haven't marketed it at all. I don't know how to do that. But the biggest thing for me is just being able to see transformation in people. I've got people sending me communication on Instant Messenger, on Facebook, emails, asking me for help. I was up till, oh my God, 3 or 4 in the morning today, counseling with somebody else. And they're just, it's kind of daunting sometimes to have people coming to you with such heavy duty issues, because I'm not anywhere near them. I'm in Canada, they're scattered abroad, and I want to get them help.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of facilitating that as well. I'm in the process of networking with a number of folks in the States that are more accessible to these individuals, so they can get hands-on help. But it tells me that the book and the podcast are on the right, you know, that they're addressing things that the mainstream churches aren't. You know, people are needing spiritual help that's really mind-blowing in terms of the severity of what they're experiencing. And they're coming to me because they have nobody else.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, you and the work you're doing because of what you've experienced and just how difficult it must have been to lose your wife and watch, you know, well, and then she was sick for so long, but they see like here you are today, like still standing, like still strong, here to help, writing books, recording podcasts. It's very inspirational. And it's something that inspires me. And like there's a reason why you know, people are turn to you. And I think it's just a very beautiful thing. And you know, these outlets, media, podcasting, writing, self-publishing, it's the perfect way for you to spread your message. And the best thing too with your books being independent is there's no publishing house that wants to change your message. And I think having it come directly from you is really important.
Thank you, Joe. No, it's been a very healing journey for me, and it's my daughter, 19, going into college. She was in the kitchen on Sunday. Mother's Day was brutal. She was in the kitchen on Sunday doing something, and she was cleaning. Oh yeah, Sunday she got up and she was like a white tornado. She was in a cleaning frenzy. She's been full time at a restaurant, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, Daddy, I feel bad because I'm always working and I'm never doing anything around the house. So I got up today and I decided I'm going to clean the house." I'm like, "Said no teenager ever." And she's like, "Do you mind if I put on some worship music?" I'm like, "Okay, no problem." Well, then she puts on an album, and it gets to a song that I swear sounds just like my wife.
Mhm.
And
Wow. It's just
I
some things in life are
I lost
beyond.
it. I
Yeah.
was ruined for the rest of the day, because the one thing that was really, people use refuge, but for my wife, worship music really was her refuge.
Mhm.
Um, it was the place she went for healing when she didn't understand why she had to suffer, but she didn't blame God. She didn't know when or if healing was going to come, but that's where she was always at. She lived. Some people listen to worship music. She lived it.
Yeah.
It was her healing oasis,
Yeah.
and oh, she had so many albums like that that she listened to before she met me. She was of an East Indian family, and if you're East Indian, you're either Hindu, and both of those religions basically have the attitude that if you are born with a disability or you contract some horrible disease, then it must be because you did something wrong in your past life and now you're paying for it. So there's no pity there. And she was the baby of the family. And I'm like, well, if the baby of the family isn't doing good, everybody pitches in and helps. No, not with her case.
Mhm.
That was really her only refuge, even as a little kid. And and that's really why I want to get that devotional book done, because I know there's so many people out there, and so many women. I just got a message right from a friend who's female in the States to pray for her, one of her best friends, because her marriage is on the rocks. They're having financial difficulties, relationship difficulties, wants to commit suicide, but she's pregnant.
Mhm.
So she's not going to do that. That's the one thing stopping her from taking her own life, but she's got a baby in there. So I
Yeah.
can't do it to the baby. Wow, that's bad. That's severe. And my wife is like any other woman. She
Mhm.
wants to cook. She wants to, be there for her family. She wants to be the mom. She wants to be the wife, but her disease wouldn't let her do any of this. And yeah, there were times when she had thoughts, but she never followed through on them. But she was human like everybody else. You
Yeah.
can only do so much of having your hope broken and shattered. I'm here in this body. I'm still young. I could do things. She wanted to be a child psychologist, my wife. She wanted to go back to college, get her psychology degree. Then we had our daughter in 2004, and then the bottom fell out. Her body started going haywire.
Yeah.
The polio symptoms that she had as a kid that almost killed her came back, like the return of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And she was only, I think at that time, maybe 24. And she was a young mom, a brand new mommy. And not knowing what's going on with her body. Why is my body turning on me with such a vengeance, and having to be in the hospital away from her daughter? So yeah, I mean, I really want to get that book done, because there's so many women that, they might read something I write, but if it's from my wife's perspective,
Yeah.
she's the one saying, "Look, here's what I went through. Hang on, don't give up. You
Yeah.
know, don't take drastic measures thinking your life is over when you don't know what's around the corner." You know,
You feel as you write, do you feel like it brings you even closer to her, like, writing from her,
oh,
it's got to be very powerful.
yeah, especially working on her devotional,
Mhm.
because um, she was just Asha Ripper was so real. I
Mhm.
fell in love with her about her. She had no pretense. Going back to the church thing, people are here. I grew up with it. They're one way at the grocery store or
Mhm.
black, but then they go to church to somebody else. I grew up with this face changing, the mask changing all the time.
Yeah.
I saw it for what it was. It's hypocrisy. It's fake. With Rupa, she was the same in every world. She didn't have the capacity or the desire to pose as someone else in front of you because she had to impress you, but I don't have to impress them. She didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Remember her ever doing anything, and I know this sounds like a gross exaggeration, but I don't remember my wife ever doing anything out of self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. I remember her giving to people all the time, even on Facebook. You know, their East Indian custom is to always show respect to your elders, always, even if they're online, you know. And just, I go back and I read some of her posts just to see the things she says to other people in the thread, the comment thread, and how she honors them, respects them, shows them love, you know. Um, that's just who she was. And I really, yeah, and pursuing writing her devotional, I really want to write it from her perspective, which is my struggle because I'm not female, but I know my wife and I know the things that she would say. Um, but it's almost like I'm partnering with her.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be such a beautiful project. I can't wait to read it. I have to you have to keep me posted when it's about done. Where are you at in phases of it now? Are you close to fin
I've got it divided up into some sections, like going through suffering, holding
Mhm.
on to hope, um, keeping your joy, things like that. Um, some of the most things she said, like, you know, when we're going through suffering, is the one time when our thanksgiving to God means the most to Him.
Wow.
Because the
Yeah.
one time when we really aren't thankful, you know, for what we're going through, but finding a reason to be thankful anyway, you
Hmm.
know. I remember there were so many times when I would just be upset about, you know, my sales job, a sale didn't go through, or something else that would just cause me to grumble and gripe. And she'd be like, honey, stop it. There's something to be thankful for. I'm like, okay, you know,
That's a great message, especially to like I know that you know your target audience is women, but that's such a message that everybody needs because suffering is really everywhere. Everybody suffers in their own way, some more than others, some in just completely unique ways, but just learning how to find gratitude and be thankful. And it's just such a, you know, everybody could benefit from reading that. I think it's gonna be a really meaningful project. So just just wonderful work. And I'm just finding myself I could see why people turn to you because it's just like I find myself inspired just hearing your story. It's and you know how you've endured and found value and meaning has been pretty enlightening. So I really appreciate everything you've shared so far today. Thank you.
well, thank you, Joe. And I really appreciate the way the part that you guys have played. I mean, this could not have happened without you guys at BookBaby, you know, and everybody that's part. And you guys really are like a fan. Watch some of the videos of people interacting and stuff, and it's more like a goofy workplace. I mean, they're like a family. It's not a business. And every time I've watched a video of you or anybody else there at BookBaby, I can feel the heart that goes into it. I honestly have come across any other publishing company that they can say they have heart and all this stuff, but do I see it? Do I
Yeah.
feel it? And you guys basically are just like a family that says you can trust us to help you story. We're on your side where we want to be a part of your journey, you know, and it's reassuring to me because I know that I don't have to carry any more of those worries with me about about, well, this or that happened, it's bad for my book or my message or whatever. And because I feel like I've got to do, and I want to get it right.
Yeah.
And you guys are there to help people get it right.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that, we were able to do that for your book. And it means a lot that you're saying that, because it's something that, we try to put into practice every day. And um, you know, your book and every other book we do is like something that matters. It's not a number, it's a project that is making a difference. And I want to thank you, Mark, for taking time out of your day to be here with me. I don't really have any more questions for you. If you have anything else you want to share, especially to like remind readers where they could purchase your book, listen to your podcast, reach you, anything you want to drop.
Another book's on Amazon now. It's on Barnes and Noble, Chapters, Indigo. It's on Goodreads. Even Thrift Books has it at a discount. But it's good. It's a discount. And there's already gone up. If they want to go to Goodreads, they'll see some good reviews in there. I think 5. It's already got 5 reviews, 5 stars. I'm trying to get the other books out there for the next few months. I know one thing that has been of interest to people is, a lot of people, there was an amazing article that came out last year, I believe, or maybe earlier this year, the Barna Group. It's called the Barna Research Group.
Mm-hmm.
They do surveys on trends in America and stuff. They did a survey and a study, a really in-depth study on religion in America, church in America stuff, and they found a shocking but amazing statistic. Church attendance is going down the toilet.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, yay, people are waking up, because that's not where you find, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, that's not where you find God. That's where you find a version of God, but reality that you're thirsting for. When Jesus said, if any man is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. He didn't say, go to the synagogue and drink. He said, let him come to me and drink. There's a religious place and there's a spiritual reality. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the comfortable, predictable religious routine, or do you want the reality that's going to change your life, shake it up to where you might not even recognize it anymore, but that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Said in the research, but spirituality is going through the roof. People are seeking spiritual reality at a time that's the numbers are just kind of they're in the stratosphere, but they're not going there to look for it. So,
Yeah.
like, I've been looking for this day. I've been living for this moment. Praise God! Finally, I mean, I'm getting excited because to me, that is, man. If you're really hungry and thirsty, I always use 2 words: hungry and thirsty, for people that were spiritually seeking.
Yeah.
Outside of life.
Yeah.
Are you hungry for spiritual reality? Great, I can feed that. But if you go there, I have been in the Lord since I was 17 years old. I remember going to churches because I thought that's what I had to do with my new relationship with God. I met him at a campground in Germany, for crying out loud. I thought I had to be like these other Christians that I knew and go to their church. I was raised Presbyterian, but these guys are Christian. They go to a Baptist church. So I guess I got to go to the Baptist church.
Yeah.
I saw so many people come in that were like bright-eyed, and they're lit up, and they're thirsty, and they're hungry.
Yeah.
And after a while, they're sinking down into that pew. The light's going out, and I'm like, and I'm still a baby Christian. I'm like, what is going on? They're supposed to get more lit up, aren't they? Not less.
Mm-hmm.
More light, not less. What is that? I was totally, and then they would just leave.
Yeah.
Like beat them into submission, and they walk out the door and they're gone. I'm like, that is not the way this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
I had another supernatural experience of 1983. I had been going through anxiety attacks and I believe spiritual attacks as well, all the time. It was so bad that on my job, I would actually go into the bathroom constantly just to take out my little pocket New Testament. I would read the Psalms to calm myself down a little bit so I could go back out to the floor and do my job. Then
Hmm.
when the would start up, okay, back to the bathroom, get my Psalms out, you know. That's all that worked. And in April of 1983, this guy prayed over me, and boom, something happened. The next day, I walked to work singing at the top. I was introverted. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But the more I sang and the louder I sang, the better I felt. And I'm like, I never got that at a church before, you know? So that's why I can say enthusiastically, if you are hurting, if you're broken, if you're feeling lost or in despair, there's a spiritual answer, but you don't have to go there to find it.
Yeah.
Come to you. How about that?
Yeah.
You know, so the podcast, there's people saying, I've listened to your podcast. I've listened to this episode 5 times because every time I listen to it, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I'm like, awesome. You know, that's great. That's not me. You know, that's the one doing it. The book is the same. I mean, this one guy is like, every time I read something, it's like I've got to highlight it. I'm like, yeah, you know what, Danny? Every time I read it, I'm like, that came out of me. I wrote that. No way.
Um,
Because it hits me brand new. So many times I'll read something in my own book, and I'm like, wow, whoa, that's not what I thought. You know,
it's something bigger that like, we have to just allow to happen to us. I think that's really good advice and just really interesting, that I knew about that statistic that church going is down, but spirituality is up. And I think, people are looking for something that, isn't you're not going to find in a set building.
so
And
clear.
it makes a ton of sense. And it's so inspiring to hear the message. So
I've really enjoyed the visit. You know, it's been wonderful,
yeah.
and again, it couldn't have happened without you guys. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I'm so glad it did. And the journey is only beginning. So I'm excited to see what happens. And thank you again for your time. And we will certainly be in touch. Thank you, Mark.
thank you too.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future videos. For more information on self-publishing your book, visit www.bookbaby.com.